if the mayor's able to satisfy Susie Q. Public, who calls and complains to the city about a homeless person by calling up a police officer and moving him just a block away, and then can satisfy John Q. Public by moving the person a block away, you're basically you're creating a situation where, political styminess, where they're just not having to get real about addressing the issue. Because the reality is, no matter where people are coming from, if they're, the small minority of people who have a serious hatred for homeless people, those people out there, right? We get the calls all the time. They also happen to be complete homophobes and racists. I mean, they're really ugly people, right? They leave the nasty, messages, and so it's all kind of connected. So we can't really do a lot for those folks, but for the rest of the folks who get frustrated, really want to see solutions, and sometimes just get so frustrated they're just like, I just want it out of my face. I don't want to see it. For everyone else, the only way we're going to come together is when we have housing for folks. And so no matter what perspective we're coming from, either you feel bad for the person in the tent, or you're sick and tired of looking at the tent, the solutions are all the same. And so, and that's where, we made so many mistakes. We said, okay, we're going to respond to that crowd that's saying, we're sick and tired of looking at the tent, and we're going to do these sweeps, and we're just going to keep doing that over and over again. Well, that person's never satisfied, because that tent just pops up somewhere else. And I think it just never gets to the root concern. So I think the win-win really is, making sure we have sustainable housing that cannot be achieved through charity, that has to be a government commitment. And we have to support these ballot measures that really will offer that sustained commitment that are actually going to fund the stuff. We got all the intellectual capital, all the financial capital. This is not a money problem. Anyone that says you need more money to tackle this problem, I think is totally incorrect. It is all about the money. It is all about the money. Nonprofits cannot deliver the kinds of programs that they want to deliver. Well, I'm not speaking for everyone, but we are limited in what we can deliver because of lack of money. And when you get nonprofits sitting at the table with rich people or with foundations, it's all about the money. We need the support in order to serve the people that we need to. I just don't think if you're talking about 7,000 people who are homeless and we've got $250 million being spent, I think the barrier is, I think we know some of the things that work. I think there is a lack of will, of collective will to make the changes necessary. Excuse me? You have an entire collective of tech companies who've fucking taken over every goddamn ounce of space, south and north of Market, and everybody's being shoved out and the rents have gone sky high, and excuse me, it is about the money. And, is that collective motivated enough to be able to say, okay, how can we make this work? Can we make, the bottom floor of every building affordable housing and services? Because we can certainly afford to do that. Now, don't you think that would be collective will? To me, collective will is like Trump. Excuse me. Trump has got a bunch of people who have collective will to throw out Mexicans and build a goddamn wall. There's a guy sitting where you are right now. He was a young kid, couldn't be more than 17, 18. Hitchhiked down from one of the northwest coast, from Seattle somewhere, and he's putting a spike in his arm, and I'm like, dude, you can't do that here. And he pulled it out and he aimed it at me, and I was like, whoa. And I sat back and I thought about, how to confront, and, but I sat with him. And, he injected and then he left. I don't encourage people to come here and inject. I do try, I think it's our responsibility to try and make it a safe place for everybody. I'll give you one other example. Was when we were commemorating the opening of this amazing, project that Rigo did, this rock book. honoring the Ohlone people through these symbols from Ohlone basketry design. Anyway, they did a big, just so beautiful as a day. It was gorgeous. We had food, lots of people here, music, and I just noticed out of the side of my eye was this guy just walking almost like the living dead. And he had a long, dark overcoat. It was just full of wet fecal matter, flies literally following every step. And he was making his way to the food table. And I was like watching everybody, and they're like, okay, we're gonna ignore this. But that's a healthy, And anyway, I offered him $1. I walk up to him. I said, I have $1. Let's walk. And he walked with me up to the front. I gave him $1 and he left. But I didn't like that either. But you just gotta feel and try out ways in which you try and sort of make some boundaries that are loose and flexible, that are respectful to everybody. Who you may feel like this guy I know who comes in here who likes to go in the back and masturbate. And he told me about it. He said, I go down here because I don't have a place to be private. And it's a dark, womb-like environment between the redwoods. And he sits there and he'll have a magazine and that touched me, I had to ask him to leave because, again, these are kitchens and bathrooms, bedrooms, that look out. They're kids, so when he sees me, he just circles around and goes out, But I told him, I respect him, I get my best inspiration from the mentally ill and people who are mentally challenged. One Sunday morning, and I think it was Easter, this was years ago, but this woman we were like singing and, doing our celebration, and she was climbing over the back of the pew. So the visual is she's climbing over the pew, and then she's sitting down, and she goes, shh. And she gets up, she climbs over the pew, she sits down, and she's going, shh. And I said, wow, that's a dance! Because this is a woman who's telling her voices to be quiet. And she's telling us the church is where she was told she could not talk or make a noise. And she was probably told, you can't tell about your incest. So, there were many, many ways in which I interpreted that shh, because that's what you're told in church and libraries, right? Shh. And women are told, shh, particularly Asian, particularly women of color, shh, don't disgrace our ancestors. Because you're not just making yourself shameful, you're making everybody shameful. Yeah. If you define compassion in terms of it's that Mother Teresa kind of compassion, where she's touching the lepers, where she's touching everybody, and it's not conditional, it doesn't matter who you are. It's that those values, those kinds of values, and love. I love those people in the street. I love them. I don't care what they say to me. I don't care how they look. I love them. And that's what keeps me going. And I'm saying, nobody lives forever. So you guys, Yayoi, all you staff, all you people, you need to love them as much as we do.